Arquette. It is a pleasure to be speaking with you. I just watched the movie last night. You are great in this. I gotta say,
Oh, cool.
obviously, it's a bit more of a dramatic role for you. I'm just curious, how did this come to you, and why were you interested in playing Rick?
Well, I'd known the director Robert for a long time, and being able to work with him professionally was really such an honor. And got the script and I read it. And it's funny because it's the kind of script where my character I'm playing was talked about a lot before, so
Mm,
it kind of builds up this anticipation of who this guy is. And it was written, based on real experience from the writer, and uh, so it had, it was grounded in the truth, and just him driving a Miata, the way he dressed, like he just had this attitude that was really fun to explore.
And for you, how was it playing or, being in a movie that Robert was directing, if saying you guys were friends before this?
Yeah, it was really great. I mean, he's got such a great style and sense of sort of art and performance and grounding reality, and set up this beautiful cast that we all could like play off each other based on this script that was really heartfelt. So it created a really interesting world. I had an opportunity to see Nick Jonas and Brittany Snow do a scene together and kind of see their dynamic before
Mm.
I was then on screen with them later in the scene. So I saw the sort of tone they had and how quick their banter was and how comfortable they were with each other and how kind of like they had this sarcastic slant to it. So it was cool for me to see that because I could play opposite. I could come in and be a little louder, a little like more abrasive, but I didn't have to overplay anything. It was all on the page, and just sort of trusting Robert, the sort of wardrobe kind of selection I had, and the kind of car, and hands me a smoothie and juice.
Right, you do get to balance these serious moments with these lighter comedy moments too, which I think is nice to. It's like a good showcase for you, I think.
Thank you. It was funny because in my head, I'm like a people pleaser at heart. So it's sort of the opposite of this guy. So a lot of my sort of internal dialogue was opposite. My reaction was opposite. Like I'm excited as a person to be acting with these people and on this set and,
Yeah.
be able to play this role. But my character, just wanted to get out of there. Like he didn't want to, he couldn't be bothered. Like, so it's a
Hmm.
funny, like, I almost was able to like think opposite of like what you're doing.
And like I said, this is kind of a different kind of role for you. Do you? I'm curious. Just do you feel like you've been typecast in the past as like a certain type of role? And how is it? How rewarding is it when a director kind of is able to see outside of that?
Yeah, it's really cool when directors can see outside of sort of what people think about you. I mean, even though I've been working in this business for a long time, it's kind of people have their opinions or they've seen certain things and they kind of think of you in a certain way. But people are complex and they can, have different layers and different life experiences, and you can bring a lot to it and you can show different shades, and it's fun. That's the best part. I mean, I've played roles too that I was really sort of, it wasn't the right role for me to play, so I know the difference as well.
What's one that you think you weren't right to play in
Oh,
retrospect?
oh, Sherlock Holmes. I played Sherlock Holmes once and it was just a disaster. But I learned a lot from it, but it was a painful experience.
And now you have, there's one scene in particular in this that's very intense between you and Nick. Obviously, it's the one right after the funeral. That's kind of this big confrontation. Just how was it like working opposite Nick for a scene like that, and going kind of toe to toe in a scene?
Yeah, I was really impressed. I mean, he's been acting for a long time, so I
Yeah.
shouldn't have been surprised. But, just his sort of attitude and his maturity, I know that sounds strange, but I guess he's had the kind of career where he kind of grew up in front of everybody. Um, so yeah, to see him like really come at me like that. What's funny about that scene is what most people don't know is that there's a scene right before where we're all supposed to be in a limousine and we go from the funeral to this
Mm,
gathering afterwards. And my character was supposed to be in the limousine. But then Robert
okay.
called me up and he's like, I don't think your character would be in this scene. So you have like an hour off or something like that. I was like, no problem. But what he didn't know was my character Rick got really offended by that. Like I didn't care, but Rick was like, "What do you mean I can't be in the limousine?" Like because I would
Hmm.
think about like how Rick would think about that. He was like, "Wait, I paid for the limousine. I set it up. I picked the limousine out. I've actually never been in a limousine, and I was looking forward to it." Like so, that's what his like anger comes from. It's not about him getting angry at me. His anger is like, "How dare you say I can't ride in the limousine?" So it gave me a place to come from because other the other way I would have played it was just like get over it, buddy. This everyone grieves in their own way, but it wouldn't have been such a heated scene. But
Mm,
Rick was also upset. He was angry, and they both uncorked their anger at that point.
mm. And obviously, how people handle grief is such a big theme of this movie. I know this does a good job of pointing out that there's humor that comes along with loss sometimes. And I'm just curious, from your own life, are you able to pinpoint a moment where a loss or a death ultimately, paved the way for laughter or positive change?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the more you can think about those moments of joy and happiness you shared with these people you lost, the more you can sort of lean back into like gratitude for having them in your life to start with.
Yeah.
But the funny stories of life and the messy stories of life and the times that were crazy and wild and, even in retrospect some of those really painful times and you can remember smiling about it afterwards and like getting through it together and any of that stuff that you can remember the good times is really what it's about. And that even the title, the good half, is the time that you had to spend with these people. It's really important.
Mm. And how was it? I know you worked in a movie with Elizabeth before with Hamlet too. Obviously, I think you get to
Oh
do a
yeah.
little more with her in this one.
Oh yeah. I even forgot about that. That's so
Right? I'm
funny.
like, did you guys even
Yeah.
have scenes together in that movie? I don't know, but you probably did press
I don't
together
know.
or
I know we
something.
had met. I think we'd met. That's all such a blur. It was so many years ago. But yeah, we didn't have too many scenes together. Thank you for reminding me. But yeah, when I saw her, I was like, oh yeah. Like, I mean, she's also the type that I'd been such a fan and seen her in so many things that I was just really kind of like nervous, but also just excited to work with her. And we only had one scene together, and it's kind of interesting because we didn't have the opportunity to really hang out and go to dinner and really get to know each
Mm,
other and like really like have this sort of like, well, why do you think these two were together? We did ask that question toward each other, but um there was a comfortable element to it. She is a really open person, very, sweet and like interesting. And, you know, you could tell like there was something that brought these two together. I don't think, I think it might have been a reaction of, her past relationships. She's kind of went the polar opposite or something
hmm.
like that.